This week, I will be discussing the 3 chapters we were required to read. Chapter 6, which discussed ethics, Chapter 7, which defined laws, and Chapter 8, which went over research and how it correlates with public relations. In Chapter 6, we discuss ethics and how they define us. What is ethics and how can it be defined? In general, if you ask me, I believe that ethics is a loose term that only the person experiencing their own reality can define. The book taught us that classical ethics means different things to different people. Ethics theories range from utilitarianism, which is the greatest good for the greatest number, to deontology, to do what is right, though the world should perish. While the meaning of ethics may be hard to pin down, there's no secret to what constitutes unethical behavior. Unfortunately, it's all around us. Consider the following. Ethics in business, we see it everywhere. Wall Street has been very popular in social media and regular news outlets. I think another great example would be Enron and how they duped their employees out of their retirement. This is, to me, unethical, has large consequences. More recently would be the college admissions scandal as well, where the USC was accepting pay from wealthy clients so their kids can get acceptance spots into the university. This is a huge example of a breach of ethics, and this has a devastating consequence, such as social inequality. In Chapter 7, we discussed the law and how public relationships and law don't always agree. In general, what may be best for the public may not always be best for the client or the customer. I think there's a fine line and a balance that both professions should aim for. Some of the content we covered were the freedom of speech, the First Amendment, which means that Congress shall make no law abridging the freedom of speech or press. The First Amendment is the cornerstone of free speech in our society. This is what distinguishes democratic nations from many others. We also learned that this comes with a price. I think a great example comes from the book, states the cartoonist who had made a cartoon out of Muhammad. This had cost the lives of 13 people. The defamation law, which prohibits slander or libel. To prove this in court, you must prove that the falsehood was communicated through print, broadcast, or electronic means, i.e. TV, radio. The person who is the subject of the falsehood was identified or easily identifiable. I think this plays more of a role in politics. And the identified person has suffered injury in the form of monetary losses, reputational loss, or mental suffering. The more we discuss, there are more that we discuss, like the disclosure law, the ethics law, and the copyright law. Unfortunately, we don't have the time to go over every single one. I think in the grand scheme of things, laws are created to protect people. You can correlate Chapter 6 and 7 because these ethics are essentially the foundations of laws. Chapter 8, we discuss research. So what is research? Well, according to the book, research is the systematic collection and interpretation of information to increase understanding. So what does PR and research have to do with each other? Public relations must establish clear program objectives and desired outcomes tied directly to business goal. This is how they do this. They differentiate between measuring public relations outputs, my mouth is dry, generally short-term and surface. They measure media content, and then they use a variety of tools to do this, as discussed further in the book, such as Google Analytics, Facebook Analytics, social media analytics. The book also taught us there are 3 types of research in public relations: strategic, theoretical, and secondary research. PR professionals may also gather surveys or use statistics such as random sampling to model and gather a lot of information. I hope you enjoyed my brief spark note on those 3 chapters. Thank you.